Hi, and welcome to Feature Fridays. And my name is Guy Bartram. I'm Director of Product Marketing for our cloud providers at our VMware Cloud Infrastructure Business Group. And today I'm joined by Girish. So Girish, welcome to Feature Fridays. Thanks a lot for coming on board. Do you want to just introduce yourself and give a bit of background about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Thanks, Guy. My name is Girish Manmadkar. I am a part of cloud provider team based out of Palo Alto, focusing on multi-cloud, VCF. Been with VMware for about 15 plus years. And looking forward to give some more technical details about VMware Cloud Foundation as applicable to the cloud providers.
Excellent. Thanks, Girish. So yeah, VMware Cloud Foundation, obviously the kind of core footprint for cloud verified and very much used in our hyperscaler partners as well. Core components running there, and really it's been a bit of a journey for our cloud providers getting to VCF either via a VMware validated design or by deploying a hyper-converged infrastructure. And we're making that journey as kind of as simple as possible, right? By delivering all these mechanisms for getting to VCF. You wanted to talk about VCF today, but you wanted to talk about a very sort of kind of 3-node kind of customized, cut down, optimized architecture. Can you tell me why that's important?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of advantages that I have seen while interacting with providers globally. That there are some cost-sensitive markets, there are some cost-sensitive customers. For them, consuming 4-node or more than 4-node VCF becomes expensive affair to really run a business because they don't tend to grow. There is no way that they will have more virtual machines that they will go on to this platform. So how can we really capture and essentially help our provider to reap the benefits of out of the box automation delivered by Cloud Foundation, so that they can deliver dedicated private cloud to their end customers more quicker, more faster, and at the same time, on the day 2 operations, they can really save a lot of money when it comes to an upgrade or patching of the entire stack due to the automation delivered by Cloud Foundation.
Yeah, this is key. I mean, we've been on a bit of a journey through this as well, right? With a cloud provider lifecycle manager, VMware Cloud Foundation lifecycle manager, or SDDC manager as it used to be, and this is really important. Our cloud providers have all been asking for this because obviously it minimizes their operational spend. But I think the really nice thing for VCF is they can have that continuity with delivering the same build, same stack, and automating that as well. So it's kind of a known footprint that they're delivering as a private cloud service instead of having to build it from scratch every single time.
Exactly. It's all prescription, which is validated, tested across all our products, and it is shipped to you. So it's all about time to market. As a provider, I want to make sure that the providers are able to deliver this required platform to their end customers as quickly as possible. Because what? If you don't do it, they will go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to make sure that you as a provider globally or in any of the cost-sensitive market are able to deliver as and when your customer demands to start their journey on SDC, or even if they have already started the journey, how can you scale that footprint quickly?
Okay, cool. So you're mentioning this is kind of more of an optimized footprint. I know you've got some slides. Should we talk through the slides now so we can kind of keep the conversation aligned to how that optimization is providing benefit to the partners?
Absolutely. Let me just switch my gear and share my. Awesome. So this is, I have some slides, wanted to give some more technical double click on what it means, an optimized consolidated architecture, right? So typically, you would say that, why would I be worried about or should be aware about VCF consolidated architecture or optimized architecture? let us understand the business advantage we just talked about. There are some recommendations that we went through recently and defined some sort of items are out of scope or what is in the scope, how you get it done, and how do you perform the upgrade, what are the various steps that you can take. But again, this is all possible with some sort of approval from the BU, from the engineering team, so that we can have you an official support available when there is a need to. So let us go through typical consolidated architecture that we have seen, or you're probably familiar with, is to start with minimum 4 hosts. And on the 4 hosts, you will deploy SDDC Manager, vCenter, NSX, and on top of additionally, we'll deploy cloud provider stack, which includes CPLCM, VROps for tenant, log insight, VCD, usage meter, and so on and so forth applications. And then on top of that, you will deploy customer applications. So if you have the 4 nodes, you will consume part of it for the management, but there is some more horsepower, there is some more capacity that can be consumed for the customer workloads. And typically that I've seen that these customer workloads, they don't expand, right? So it becomes for them that, hey, you know what? I can start with 4 nodes, but still 4 nodes are a little bit more expensive for me to, adopt Cloud Foundation or adopt Cloud Journey. So can I start with 3 node minimum? And this is what we are talking about. You can help start with 3 node vCenter node cluster. You can have a management footprint, and also you can have your customer workloads, right? Because these workloads, management as well as the customer workloads, are separated with the resource pools. So there is no issue with the management as well as with the customer workloads, right?
And Girish, one of the things, obviously, is reducing the number of nodes kind of also impacts the resiliency of the architecture. How's that catered for in a 3-node environment?
Absolutely. I think you brought a really good point that I'm going to cover into the next few slides. But yes, there are some plus and minuses that you as a provider has to definitely be aware of. And I'm going to call those things out in upcoming slides.
Okay.
For example, from the business point of view, what is it that you would want to really take a benefit out of this particular architecture or technical guidance that we are talking about? Operational efficiencies, definitely to help you save your OpEx. You don't need to have people sitting there performing the life cycle of your entire stack. It is delivered by the automation, whether you are deploying the stack or whether you are maintaining the stack when it comes to upgrade or patching of the stack. It is delivered to the automation. Cloud Foundation does verify, validate the bundles, and then they will ship you the bundles. So you don't really have to spend time and cycles on really validating and testing in your environment. The bundle, when it comes to you as a patch or upgrade, it's already tested, validated. That gives you a lot of savings on your OpEx, right? Time to market.
Sorry. Yeah, so I just want to zoom into that. So we've got, obviously, are we talking about here then that this is Lifecycle Manager, or is this cloud provider Lifecycle Manager that's delivering this package to you?
Very good question. So let me do a double click on that. So since we are focusing at the moment, VCF delivers lifecycle automation through SDDC Manager. So this is pertaining at the infrastructure level. If you have additional components of a cloud provider stack, that component of the components of cloud provider stack will be taken care by CPLCM engine. Yeah. There is a reason that we want to keep them separate, because operationally within the engineering teams, it adds a little bit more of a dependency. So we want to keep that separate, like the way we have kept it for VRS LCM suite of products as well. It gives you more flexibility and advantage of keeping them separate. So what we are talking about here is Cloud Foundation delivered lifecycle automation.
Yeah, sure. And of course, the advantage with Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager is it will work on the brownfield estate essentially from VCF and build on those additional Cloud Provider portfolio of products.
Exactly.
As a known state as well, right? Because that's what we test against. Yeah.
And few more bullet points that we already mentioned or talked about: time to market. You got to bring automation in your business. You got to bring operational efficiency in the business, because it's all about consumption. When your customer is really looking forward to consume infrastructure and the services delivered by you, if you do not have an automation, it will take time. Few partners or providers that I was talking to, it takes about 2 weeks for them to really deliver the services after the PO. That model is moving away because of automation. If you don't give to me what I'm looking for, I will go somewhere else. So it's about time to market.
Sure.
And of course, scalable infrastructure, as and when the need is there for your customer to expand, how quickly they can add a host and expand the compute and storage capacity. That is what is important to you for your business and for the customer and their business needs.
Yeah, so double click into that as well, because I think one of the areas that we kind of tend to miss is when you're looking at delivering private clouds to customers, obviously you can't be building them all the time from net new. That's going to take time. You want a building block which is highly repeatable, highly scalable, and flexible. And this is really when you've got cloud director and solutions like that on top with resource pooling capabilities. We've got a number of providers who have done this, and I think it's a very good and clever architecture because it enables them to deliver a sustainable known service on a public cloud very quickly, private cloud very quickly to a customer with public cloud type capabilities in it with Cloud Director. And then as the customer wants to expand, they go 4, 5, 6 nodes, or maybe they contract and they stay, go to 4 and then come back to 3. The resource pooling capability with the cloud provider portfolio really makes that very, very simple to do. And like you say, you plug the hardware in and it's pretty much an instance add to the resource pool.
Exactly. So moving to the next slide, what are the recommendations, right? If you want to really go with this model to start, it's all about, land and expand, right? How do you land your customer onto this platform? What are the things that you definitely want to be aware of? When it comes to bring up is essentially deploying the entire stack first, right? Bringing up my management cluster up, that we call it as a bring up process. So definitely, a few of the providers that I'm working with are consuming Cloud Builder APIs to ensure that they provide a simple URL for their customer to consume this service easily. And to achieve that, they are kind of consuming it through the API, right? Alternatively, if you really have a way to deliver it using graphical user interface, kind of slows down the process, but you still can do it, right? Upgrades, when it comes to the upgrade process, what we are recommending is that ensure that you have adequate capacity of compute and storage to perform the lifecycle automation tasks, especially when a vSphere and NSX upgrades are happening, because that's where the server goes into maintenance mode and then gets the new webs. So during that time, if I have 3 hosts, and if one host goes down, I have 2 hosts that it is running on. Will it be okay? It will be okay. But what if in that process, if another server goes down, then you have an outage. So we want you to avoid that outage. So what we recommend that make sure you have enough capacity, right? Probably you may want to add a swing host during the process of performing the lifecycle automation for a given customer. So you may have 10 customer, you may have 100 customer. Having that 1 or 2 nodes handy will help your SLA not to miss with your customer, right?
Yeah, very important point.
Yeah. Now, the next thing is, what would be the capacity of my swing host, right? Typically that I've seen that, providers have variations of hardware hosts that are delivered. Try to see if you can get as closely as possible with the same capacity of your customer workloads, right? Definitely, if you have a little bit higher, that's fine, but we would want you to keep it at the same capacity and the cores on the servers, so that you don't really have to worry about imbalance cluster, right? Another thing that we wanted to make sure that through the process of this upgrade, if I have a swing host, I don't want to touch that host performing any upgrade tasks. So there is a process that I will talk about it. You can skip that host because we know and you know that the host is basically a swing host.
Mm.
It will just go away once the process is finished. So why want to spend time on upgrading anything on that host? So we can skip that host, right? Uh, from an availability point of view, we are recommending to make sure that there is a periodic backup, especially before when you start LCM process, you perform another backup of the customer workloads, VCF management domain components, maybe it is at the image level, maybe it is at the file level backups, just to make sure that you are covering in case if anything goes down due to hardware issues that we have no control on. We want to make sure that there is a way that you can go back to uh, the right status before you start the LSM process.
Just a quick question on this one, Girish. So when you're looking at the swing host, obviously you want to try and do the lifecycle management as programmatically as possible. Does that take into account that you might have a swing host available and automate some of the migration for workloads and systems before putting it in maintenance mode?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think sky's the limit. What we say is that providers tend to automate the automation, right? What it means is that they can say, hey, customers pressing, oh, I would like to really perform an upgrade because I see that there is a bundle available. Again, the difference of service, whether it's a customer managed or whether it's a provider managed, depending on how it is to be done, both ways an automation will help. If it is managed by a provider's operations team can click on a button and say, okay, go ahead and upgrade this particular cluster for this particular customer. In that process, they can go and look at the inventory, add a host into the inventory, add a host to the cluster, and then perform the LSM automation, right? So it's all doable and possible with an additional automation. It could be a Terraform, it could be an Ansible, sky is the limit.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So the next one, what is out of the scope, right? It's all about the available capacity with this 3 node. I don't know what capacity of each node that you may have and what would be the capacity available for the customer's workload. That's why when we validated 3 node optimized consolidated architecture for VCF, we were not able to test with any of the vRealize suite of components, maybe VROps, maybe it's vRealize automation, network insight, even VMware Tanzu, edge clusters, depending on how powerful your systems are, servers are, and a couple of other things as listed here. These are out of the scope, doesn't mean that they will not work. As long as you have enough capacity in your 3 node cluster, then you will have to do a simple math on Excel spreadsheet to see what compute and storage and CPU memory available for you to deploy any of these products. Right? So you as a provider will have to take that decision depending on the available capacity. If you don't have it, we would recommend to add a host or 2 to make sure that you meet the demand for your customer. That's what I'm talking about, land and then expand.
Yeah. And Girish, just to be clear here, so we have had VMware validated designs for cloud providers, which have given us a kind of a small, medium, large recommendation for volumes of VMs that you want the customer to run. And that's also giving you like the interoperability guidance and things like that.
Yeah.
Are we providing any similar sort of thing here with this is what a small 50 VM private cloud would potentially look like versus, medium or large?
We wanted to, but as I said in my previous slide, it depends on the compute and the storage capacity that a provider is choosing and opting it for, and what sizes of customer workload VMs are. It could be a monster VM or it could be a 2x4 VM, depending on that. So, utilize a simple spreadsheet or the calculator that we have online to really see the available hardware and the capacity delivered by the hardware and what capacity that your customer is looking for. Normally, in vSphere world, we used to say that keep your host at 80% capacity or 75% capacity. Probably you wanted to apply the similar rule of thumb because it is all about how much is available and what type of VMs I have, how many large VMs do I have, and what happens if my one server goes down until I add another host into the inventory. So simple math, nothing, rocket science here. Okay, so how do we do it, right? Very simple. There are certain internal tidbits that I'm sharing here. Definitely you can use this as is in your non-production environment, because for production workloads, I want you to follow a process that I will just touch upon a little later. But simple, you got to get your Cloud Builder deployed, maybe on a Jump ESXi host, or it could be on your Windows machine, or it could be on your laptop. As long as it's connected to a rack where all the hosts are available and on the network, you can perform these steps. Step number 3 is the important one that goes into a application.properties file, which kind of, helps when I'm performing a bigger process that I'm going to go and consume only 3 hosts. Otherwise, I have to look for a minimum 4 hosts, right? So that validation is done with the 3 hosts now. And then your bring up will finish successfully without any hiccups further, right? Now, the next one about upgrade. This is where we are talking about how do I skip a host when I'm performing an upgrade. A host which is added as a swing host, I want to make sure that I don't act on it so that I can save my time for the overall upgrade or patching process. Because I know after the process is done, this host will go away. So these are the steps that I'm listing it out here that you will find it into VMware documentation as well. But essentially to skip that particular host and it will not touch anything, it will save your time. And again, as a part of the process, if you're making any change in any of those property files, you've got to recycle a few of the services as listed. Like, for example, LSIM is a service which runs in SDDC Manager. You will have to SSH into it, make the changes into the file, and restart your LSIM process, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
All these things can be codified. All these things can be automated, right? So call to action, very clear. As I said, it's a technical guidance. If you want to make a use of this process for your production workload usage, reach out to your VMware account team. They will understand what you want to do and ask them to follow RPQ process, which is an internal to VMware. I will work with your account team and take the next steps so that it is approved for your production deployment. What it means, production deployment, right? It comes with an official VMware support. That's what you want. You want to make sure that if you're running this architecture for your production workloads, you get a right support from VMware when there is an issue with it. So you want to make sure that you are all covered, your customers are well covered, and that's why the process is very much important. Typical turnaround time that I'm aware of about 2 to 4 weeks. But if you really have any business pressing needs, do articulate that to your account team. They should be able to put that into the RPQ process, and we can work with them to make sure that we can get an approval done as quickly as possible. So with that said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us or reach out to your account team, and we would be happy to work with you on the next steps.
Okay, so this is great then. So to summarize, we've got a 3-node supported architectural VCF footprint, which will appeal to our service providers who are looking at small to medium enterprises, where 2 to 3 nodes is great. And for our cloud providers to start using this, then contact your cloud provider business development managers, or through your aggregator reach out directly to you with the email shown in the presentation. I'll stick that as well at the end, and start the RPQ process so they can start rolling this out in production.
Exactly. Yep.
Girish, thank you so much for today. It's been great to kind of run through the detail of this. I'm super excited for our cloud providers to start rolling this out. I know they've been asking for it, so I look forward to seeing some future production.
Me too. Thank you.
Cheers.